Okay, gents. So eyes forward, watch what I'm doing. Right, so if I'm on Teams, one thing to get used to is that you can get to all the other Windows, the Office 365 apps by clicking on the little thing in the corner, the menu button. Okay. Microsoft have got no idea about consistency, so depending on what app you're originally in, it shows you different types of lists here. All right, so sometimes it's a comprehensive list, sometimes it's lists you can sticky things to. It depends. But the quickest way is to go, Microsoft 365, and then you'll see the main apps, so like OneNote, PowerPoint's there, Forms is there, or you can click all apps and get the bigger list. All right, there are lots and lots of different ones, but I want OneNote, so I'm going to go to OneNote. I'm just going to close a load of these down if I don't want them. Right, so I'm going to create a new OneNote for myself that I'm going to put my programming project work in. So I'm going to create it. Just click the old plus there, and I was going to call it NEA. I don't have to put my name in it because you're going to link it into your section, but I'm going to put Dave Bloke. One of my online. I used to have an account, Mrs. Dave Bloke, just to see if anybody actually read anything. I never had anyone query why I was Mrs. Dave Bloke. Right. Okay. So that's creating my OneNote. So as you're going to see in a minute, there are certain sections that you've got to create for this project. Okay, sections are just like chapters in a book or in a folder, like big dividers. You know when you have those nice tab dividers in an A4 folder. So I'm going to have an analysis section. Okay, and then I can have pages. And the way that OneNotes work, whatever you put as the top becomes the page name. So if I have project idea, it comes up as the page name. So you can see that, and I really quite like that. Okay, so I'm going to outline my project idea. So I've got a load of typing to do. If I've got a diagram I want to do, there are draw tools that let you draw. If you've got a tablet or you've got a touch device at home or you use your phone, you can do all the drawing in that as well. Okay, same tool. If you screw it up, you just undo. It's also got a highlighting tool. So if I did have some text here, you've got a highlighter, which is, you see as you float over, pen or highlighter, and you pick the color and you can just highlight stuff. So if, for instance, you're doing a bit of research on something and you copy paste something from a web page, dump it in your OneNote, you can then go back over it with a highlighter. We're not using books this year. I've decided that the cost and all the other issues around it, you know, one of the worst things about physical books is if I want to look at your book, you haven't got your book. In general, there isn't time in a lesson for me to look at a book, so I take a book away. You then can't use your book. You got your notes in it, blah, blah, blah. That's no good. So by doing it all in OneNote, you've got access to it all the time. I've got access to it all the time. It's electronic, easy to edit, etc., etc. Okay. And again, if you don't like something, there's an eraser and stuff like that. So that's that. You've got insert, which lets you put documents, pictures in there. Okay. If you're doing it on your phone, there is an application called Office Lens that if you take a picture of something and it'll try and work out what it is you're taking a picture of. So if you've got a piece of paper, let's say you've done a diagram and you want to add it to your OneNote, yeah, so you can use Office Lens, which you don't get it on PCs, just on your phones, and it will scale and skew and orientate it so it goes as if you were straight on. So you don't have to actually be directly in line with it. You know how you can never like quite get it, and it'll rotate it and stretch it so that it looks like you were just scanned it using a scanner. Okay, and then that Office Lens works directly with OneNote, so you can put it straight into a OneNote. You might need to move it, but it'll dump it in a OneNote for you. Okay, so you've got that facility. Obviously, you can make links. So if I want to put, I'm on drawing still here. If I want to put a link to the BBC website, I can just highlight that and then go up to on the insert menu, do a link, or I can do Control K, and then I can put a hyperlink in there. So again, if you're researching and you pulling some information from different areas, or you want to like, oh, I need to go back to that, instead of having to like wade through your history, which might get deleted, you can just drop your links in here, and they do work. Okay, so that's a couple of things, but there is some other stuff. Oh, I hate the way it does that though. Just want to delete it. I could have done undo. That would have been better. Right. On the insert menu, you can do this audio. So I can actually insert audio and actually do it a live record. If you've got a headset or a microphone, so I can do that now and I can record it and embed audio into the page. That's actually not that useful, to be honest. But it might be for certain things. But there is one awesome tool. And even with somebody who's like some oiky northerner, okay, who speaks too fast, uses loads of odd words, rolls all the words into each other, throws letters away because they're not important, there is a narration tool that can even translate me into text. And it is awesome. And I'm going to show you how awesome it is. It's up here. Now, this is a subsystem of Office. So it's available in practically all of the Office applications. So if I was to go to Word, so let me just nip up and put Word in there. You'll see that it's actually got, let's go to bank document. When it eventually loads up. Okay, you'll see it's got the narrator there as well. They call it dictate. Okay. This has moved on so much from, I think that's still recording audio there. Probably, I don't know. We'll find out when this conflicts. Right, so to do the, I'll show you one thing. It can work with loads of languages. The ones that say preview languages, they're still in beta, I think. They're beta testing all those. But it is incredible how many languages it can work with. And it isn't as bad. You know when you watch a YouTube video and you put captions on, auto-generated, and unless you speak a very specific dialect of North American, it's the Google one is hopeless. All right, totally hopeless. When I do it on my videos, it hasn't got a clue what I'm talking about. This, I mean, it's on English US, so I'll put it on UK. It doesn't seem to make much difference. That I think it's spelling, grammar checking, is all that's for. So when I turn it on, you've obviously got to have a headset turned on. Now, it normally asks you permission, but I've already done this once today, so it's already the browser hasn't been closed. But I'm just going to talk, and I'm talking as I'm normally talk. I'm not trying to like talk like a robot. When we first started doing work on speech recognition, it was really hard to actually the way that humans speak, the way that your larynx works and the way that the sounds are generated, one word, the ending of it affects the start of the next word. So it becomes a really complex problem to work out what each word is because it's all dependent on what went previous. And the faster you speak and the more you slur your words into each other, the harder it becomes. But actually, this is doing a fantastic job. I'm just speaking normally. Now, one thing that this is really useful for my year 13 students when they're doing their programming projects, because one of the things they have to document is problems they've had. And they have to like write about the problems. And thinking about it and typing it is a lot harder than you know, when if you stuck on something and I'd say, well, what is it that's wrong? And you can explain it to me, but you probably couldn't write it down in an essay format. So what you can use this for, if you've got some ideas that you want to put down, and you might want to do this for the project because you've got to document your progress through it. What you might want to do is just turn the narrator or the dictate thing on and start talking through what you want to say. And actually, it's writing it all for you. You might got to go back. I mean, I've got some weird things there, gotta, which to me is a word. But hey, I said cos earlier when I was doing it. I know he's picked it up. It's learning. It's learning how I speak. It picked it up. It put COZ, and then about 5 seconds later, it went back and it changed it to cause, which is what I meant. So I said cause. It's cause of this and it's cause of that. But that has learnt now that when I say cause, I meant cause. So it's adapting to the way I speak. So you can see there's the odd mistake, but that you would not believe the phenomenal amount of work that's gone into getting us there. Okay, when we were doing word spotting in the late 80s, early 90s, you had to have a gap between words in order to be able to pick up words because we were just like pattern identifying. We've moved on so much like that. It still requires a phenomenal amount of computing power. Okay, which is why it is a bit naff on your phones because they're having to send data back to a server and then get it back because your phone isn't powerful enough to do it. Well, it would be, but you wouldn't be using it for anything else at the time. Okay, so of all the tools, I want us to use tools and use them effective. Okay, that is my ultimate goal with computer science. If a piece of paper and a pencil is the best way of doing something, that's what I want you to use. So if you're sketching an idea, quick sketch, unless you've got a tablet like I've got. Okay. I'm not saying go out and buy a tablet. Okay, but if you're thinking of something that you want, rather than get a fancy graphics card, if someone's buying you a fancy graphics card or something, go on Amazon, see if you can find a 50 quid tablet. This was only 50 quid. You can't get them because like a lot of these things, they do a run at a factory and then that's it. And then someone else picks up and copies the design. This is a Veek one, Chinese designed and made, but there are copies of it. Okay, and this is probably a copy of someone else's anyway. But effectively, they're all the same. They're just clones. The cameras that we've got, have you seen the cameras that the teachers have got on their things? They're actually clones of Logitech C920s because you can't buy C920s because Logitech don't make them anymore. They make a more advanced one, and still the narrator's going, isn't it? Even if you've got the world's quickest typing, it's not about the speed of your typing. It's about being able to put your ideas down. And it's so much easier to write using the way you speak because your brain is better at speaking because you do a lot more speaking than you do writing. In the exam, we've got to be able to do that. But if you're just trying to get some bulk information down, some bulk ideas, then why not do it? For instance, if you were watching a video or you were reading an article and you wanted to take some notes, this is the perfect way to make some notes, isn't it? Because you can be watching if you've got a headset on, so you're not like, you don't want to pick up the video on your microphone. But if you had a headset on and you could say, oh, that, yeah, interesting. So that is that and X is Y and whatever. So whatever you're looking at, you can make notes on it. So it's like live note taking. So I would like you to experiment. We have got headsets, but we're not allowed to give them out anymore because they can't be cleaned. Okay, and half the time they never worked in here anyway, did they? But if you want to get yourself a cheap headset, you can get headsets for next to nothing. This is a fancy one because it's a mono headset and all that stuff. But if you want to get a headset, just make sure your only requirement really to use it in school is to make sure it's USB so that it works. Okay, so this is a Logitech headset. It's just in the USB. It just works. Yeah. No, USB storage devices. Right, okay, gents. Right, so let me just turn that off, otherwise it's going to get all tired. Right, so what I want you to do, because we're not using notebooks, we're going to use a OneNote, so you can create a OneNote for your project, a OneNote for your class notes. Now, this is important because we still need to actually take notes and things, but I will talk about that next lesson. Okay, I want to focus on the project now. Right, once we have got your OneNote, we need to share it with me. So you can see in the top right, there's a share button. Now, in general, you don't want to share things and allow other people to edit them. But for me, sharing with me, I want to be able to put feedback on it and stuff. Okay? Now, I'm not going to give you tons of feedback on this project because that's not how this project works. But for your notes and things, I might want to. Okay? So you've got this thing here where it says anyone with the link can edit. So I'm going to leave it as that for this particular thing because I want my teacher to edit it. So I'm going to click copy link. Now that's put a link to this document in the clipboard. So what I'm now going to go is back to my class notebook and I'm going to do it through OneNote. So I'm looking for my class notebooks. So we're 11D. So I'm going to click on my notebook and I'm going to look for my name. So my name is Craig for today's demonstration purposes. And I'm going to click on the NEA project section. Okay, and I'm going to say link. I'm just going to name the page, link to documentation. And I'm just going to put some text, link. I'm going to highlight it. And then I'm going to go up to the insert menu and say link. So it's picked up that it's that text. And I just paste my link. Now what that will enable, not just me, but Craig to do, is to click on that and go straight to that OneNote. And then if Craig's teacher wants to, because he's gone a bit mad, he's going to get his drawing tool out, big fat red pen, and he's going to go, whee, scribble all over it. Okay, right. So I want you to do two things, gents. I want you to create just a computer science OneNote that you are going to link to the class notes section. And then I want you to create NEA project OneNote that you are going to link to the NEA project section. So you're going to make two links for me to two separate OneNotes. Okay? Non-examined assessment. Means you don't sit an external exam for it. It means it's project. Coursework. Yeah, I know, it's a stupid name. It is a stupid. Should just call it coursework.